I cannot imagine anything more embarrassing than being these kids' parents.
Not about the cells. No, it's not about. No. I'm speaking. No, 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 I'm.
Pleasure to meet you.
Let's stay cordial. Let's stay respectful, please. Please, please.
That's how we define it in society. No shit.
Okay, got it. So you have no idea what you're talking about.
They don't.
You think 300,000 minors are lost in America? Are you crazy?
I'm saying Latin.
What the? I'm sorry. Is this a language code?
It means little human being.
His smile is very creepy. Okay.
Smiling is creepy.
No, your smile specifically.
Got it.
But let's go back.
Oh, nice to meet you. Oh wow, you look better in person.
They're so confident in their political beliefs that they go onto a debate show, but then when they're confronted with someone that disagrees with them, they cannot eloquently put their perspective into words. Instead, they resort to yelling, to cussing, to name-calling, to insulting someone's physical appearance. These are some of the most out-of-touch brats I have ever seen. How are these kids functioning in day-to-day life? Have they ever encountered someone that disagrees with them? And I know this is not all the people that go on this show. Some people do bring up good points, and they defend their position very eloquently, and they are respectful, but there are quite a few that go on the show that are not, and the way that they cheer each other on in their echo chamber of disrespect and rudeness just like seriously makes my skin crawl. I would be absolutely mortified if I raised kids who acted like this.
Don't get me wrong.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I'm going to cover when they put like one conservative against 25 liberal kids. Don't quote me that I'm putting people in the box, because that is the title on Jubilee. So
hi, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Hello, nice to meet you. Oh wow, you look better in person. Okay, so
that's very sweet of you. I don't often get that, so thank you.
Okay, it's fine. But yeah, how do you define abortion really quickly?
Abortion would be the forcible termination of an unborn human life.
Yes, but like, why do you hold that definition? Like, would you not assume like something like a C-section would be considered an abortion?
No, because the baby is born alive.
But
so how would that be an abortion?
How can you compare C-section to an abortion? C-section, they're still alive. It's like she wants to change the meaning of the word. I put my kids to sleep, and I put my friend to sleep. It has a whole different meaning.
What does the definition of abortion have to include the death of a fetus?
Because that's literally the definition of abortion.
It literally isn't, though. Where are you getting this definition from?
Where are you getting your definition from?
Let's go to like what, like, do you like fucking like Mayo Clinic, like any fucking like hospital you've ever gone to before?
A C-section ends with the birth of the child.
Right, but
I know,
but abortion,
both I and all three of my siblings were born via
generally,
C-section.
yeah, I understand this.
I'm here, I'm talking to you.
I know, baby.
Thus I was not aborted.
I understand this, but like, yes, but like, no. Well, yes, but like no. But no, you could simply say that abortion is simply the ending of a pregnancy, right? So the ending of a pregnancy outside of the natural birth of a fetus. So I don't see that. I don't see why you would say that like it would have to end in the death of a fetus, which is why I'm pro-abortion all 9 months, right? Because say if a woman is not able to pass a fetus in the natural way, we could have these other abortion processes that would say like, okay, like she needs some type of induction that doesn't include the actual natural expulsion of a fetus. But it doesn't always end in the death of a fetus. So I don't see how you could say that Kamala Harris's stance is immoral in this sense.
I just don't understand how you're removing the death of the fetus from the equation about abortion. That's literally the entire moral issue. You and I would not even be arguing if we were talking about C-sections or about natural birth.
But it seems like at its core, though, we disagree on what the inherent definition of abortion
then
is.
You could leave away. We could very easily solve this. Let's just not talk about the word abortion. Let's talk about the forcible termination of a baby.
Okay. So then, what do you value in the fetus then?
The life of the fetus.
An abortion is meant to remove a baby that has to come out alive and is having issue the natural way. That's it. It's never intended to get him out without a heartbeat, because if that was the case, they would induce the baby. Abortion is a second choice because it leads with damages and so much healing, and it might be way more dangerous if something goes wrong.
Okay, so then when is this? You said it begins at conception?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because that is literally the biological definition of when an independent life begins.
Yes, but like, why does it have moral value?
It has moral value because that's literally the biological definition of when a human life begins.
Right, but like, why does that have moral value, though?
Okay, why does any life have moral value?
I would value sentience.
But why?
Right, because
based on what?
This is simply what we value, like you and I value. Like, is it okay to like unplug like a brain dead patient, for example?
I mean, the question is whether it's okay to unplug a brain dead patient. Actually, quite a controversial one in sort of religious circles.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as why, I'm just wondering if somebody's in a coma and you know they're going to wake up, do you have the right to unplug them?
Well, coma's not brain dead, though. We know that there's future like there. Like, it would be like a matter of like a conjunct of like past, future. Like, past, present, or future sentience. But like a person in a coma has.
I agree. And guess what? Fetuses also have guaranteed future sentience.
Well, no, because you're only valuing one half of the conjunct. That's not right. So it would be past, present, or
now
future.
You're changing the topic. I mean, we started with what's the value of the fetus.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
So the show is this. 24 people are watching one person debate another, and when they don't agree with the conversation, they lift a flag. So the show is called Middle Ground, but whenever they find a middle ground, we don't like that. We like it more when we shame the other person.
First question, can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay, awesome. So
definitionally.
Definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA? Sexual assault?
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here?
I find it interesting when people speak like that. Usually they want you to speak a specific thing or misunderstand what they're saying, and they would use that to shame you. That's my personal experience.
They are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white supremacy.
Here, let me give it to you then.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that? Because there's no legislation, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body, so why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you.
Told you. They're waiting for you to do something, and the laughing is unending.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about abortion...
No, I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist, who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I recognize that you exist. I disagree with your claim that you are a male.
So if I was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because I was sexually assaulted?
I mean...
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free and all that.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly here.
And so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game. And you've done it the entire time. You've jumped from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work. So how does it feel to have it in your face?
Oh, well, I mean...
Because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women.
And it works. It actually works. It's ridiculing people, shaming... Isn't that fascism? Like, you enjoy the passion in somebody's face. And I remember, I felt many times guilty with a bunch of people did that to me. I thought, hey, maybe they are right. But it makes me realize sometimes, if they can get a point across sometimes, they start shaming you and ridicule you.
Because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself? All of us are struggling, and you want to focus on trans people. You want to focus on a black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America's falling apart, and let's give it a woman right when it's all falling apart, when we'd had, 50 men run it and it looks like shit?
I find it interesting that we both agree that the government is messing up the money, but whenever I call it out, they use you as a reason why things are not getting done and we need to fund things on your side. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying they're using you as a pawn that whenever I complain, hey, you don't care about specific people. And when you complain, they say, it's my fault. Don't you see? We both are being used as a pawn.
Look at where we're at. Truly, where do you think that we're heading? I mean, it's so funny to watch white supremacy just fall apart the way that it is, and you ride so hard. Because guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children. And why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate, and all of this idea that abortion is somehow going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society. We're just going to completely ignore that, and we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have. Why are we doing that? What? I mean, why? Because you want to push white supremacy and because you want to make your check? It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis, and including my entire community and the intersectionalities of black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American? This guy's been accused of rape. Trump, in like court documents, and you're backing the guy. Like, you have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? Like, what is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely like the American idea, what we believe in as a country, is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had.
Pause.
Pleasure to meet you.
Okay, there's a lot of tension in the room now. Let's stay cordial. Let's stay respectful, please.
I don't think the comment was even necessary. Blair is my friend. For those people that know there's a trans moon, what's the point? You can't be gangster and be like, hey man, this black guy is my friend, so I can talk to you like that. I'm like, what? It doesn't work like that. Just by that idea, I can go get a trans friend and start making gangster YouTube video. That would never be acceptable, right? I even explained on a Jubilee video at 35 minutes and 10 to 39 till 50, this was a monologue. Ben could not speak and he was insulted. Why? It makes no sense. You can't go on a debate, talk for 5 minutes on a platform called Middle Ground and be like, hey, we are trying to reach a middle ground and I just insulted him and he had to listen to me. But I just find it interesting how they can find that normal, and I don't label everybody. But the rhetoric at the highest power does seem like that.
Yeah, like a jackrabbit. Thank you guys, I appreciate that.
Hi,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, I kind of want to shift the conversation about DEI a little bit away from culture because I don't know if that's necessarily like a helpful conversation to have. And I really want to talk more about representation. So 1 in 5 Americans currently is Hispanic. This country, like it or not, is not a homogenous country. We are a very diverse country. Mm-hmm. Do you not think that our legislators should be representative of the overall population?
I don't see a way that you can have a quote-unquote representative legislature with 435 members of Congress in a country of 340 million people, because you can divvy that up however you want. It's not by race. You could do it by sex. You could do it by gender. You can do it by sexual orientation. How exactly do you decide what is quote-unquote the representative group? And also, I don't believe that individuals ought to be represented based on group identity. So, for example, I'm Jewish. Jews are actually overrepresented in Congress. I don't think that we ought to decide exactly how many people in Congress are Jewish based on the Jewish population of the country. I think that's actually a pretty silly way to do representation.
Well, we don't have to do it systematically, but fundamentally there is an issue with the fact that we are not fully represented. Like, the entire population is not represented. We have never had a black female president. I still have to pay taxes.
We've never had a
the
Jewish
whole
president.
concept is no taxation without. Well, we have had a white male president. We've had like 45 of them.
Whether Jews count as white or not has been sort of an object of debate for quite a while. We do. Okay.
You do.
So, I mean, it depends according to whom. And that's a pretty recent development. Okay, so
basically everyone. It's a religion.
Judaism.
Do you not agree that you were a white man?
I mean, I think that it depends on the context in which you're discussing it.
So what are you, Ben? Are you not a white guy?
I mean, I'm a man of Jewish ethnicity, which is sometimes grouped with white and sometimes not. I mean, that's the more accurate way to put it. But when
what
we're
else
talking
would you be
about
grouped
with Jews, who are which is an ethnicity. I mean,
so you're not white at all.
I mean, again, it depends who's doing the grouping and how. I've seen Jews grouped with white and Jews grouped with not white. Are we just pretending that doesn't exist? That's a reality. However, as far as your generalized point, which is that we are supposed to identify people by group identity, that if we don't have a black female president, somehow black females have not been represented. So Barack Obama was in no way representative of black females because he's not a female.
No, he was. He was representative,
so
but
he was
that's
half
the point.
representative. How do you do the math on this? And why?
You shouldn't do the math on it completely statistically, but the fact is...
Yeah, you don't have to. You just have to believe it if they say it. But if you say it, it's wrong because I can decide what you freaking are. I'm like, how can you tell somebody you're acting racist with that mentality when your justification is very racist, but you can only say it because you're not white? That is like, oh my God. Like, I can also say You're not African American. You're African. Overseas. And before somebody tells me, what do you mean you don't understand? It's like, I don't think he's white or black. He's just Jewish with a white collar. It's simple. We overcomplicate things when we want to explain something, and that's why nobody gets anything done. Because you want to take step, which toe did you put the step, with which shoe, with which sock, on which ground, and which time, is it raining, sun is shining. I'm like, dude, I just want to walk. Why do you want to legislate that?
Do the math on it at all. You should treat people as individuals.
Underrepresented.
You should treat people as individuals.
Well, if you don't even want Kamala Harris to attempt to create DEI initiatives in office, then there isn't even going to be a conversation about it.
Then find qualified people and put them in position instead of putting people in that positions to motivate people to feel qualified. It's all about the messaging. If all boys believe they're Spider-Man or Goku, maybe your messaging is focused too much on the race than the action of the person that you want to represent.
I mean, I don't think there ought to be a conversation about why we ought to be represented by race or by sex. I think that we are each individual people with individual ideas, and if that person represents my ideas, I don't care what sex, race, or sexual orientation they are.
I mean, to an extent, yes.
No, entirely.
But there is an issue with the lack of empathy in office. We need to be able to empathize and legislate for the people that are living in this country.
I was not
Do you
aware,
not believe that?
I was not aware that empathy is relegated to particular race solidarity.
No, but I mean, it's easier to be empathetic towards people whose experiences you can fundamentally understand based on your identity.
Then I wonder how you would empathize with a black man that can empathize with a white person. Imagine that. They should have a jubilee with a black person and a bunch of liberal white kids and see how that conversation goes. Then you would see how they really think about black people.
Do you not believe that people have an inherent bias?
So first of all, I'm
based
not
on
sure,
identity?
I mean, we can start with the empathy itself. I'm not sure that empathy is always the best basis for actual public policy, because when you have group solidarity and empathy based on group solidarity, you're going to attempt to actually benefit the group with whom you have solidarity. So that actually cuts against generalized public policy.
But that's like a fundamental thing that just exists, which is why we need representation in government.
It's like they notice, oh, she's not going aggressive anymore. Cancel, cancel. They're going to find middle ground.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam. Turloqueta verdeta welcome.